Charlotte Vidal Nisbet, Sarnia's First Historian, by Emily Potter. Charlotte Jane Vidal was without question an integral part of Sarnia's past. Considered Sarnia's first historian, her famous last name comes from a long line of Vidals dating back to a Marcus Marcellus Vidal, a prefect of the city of Rome in AD 60. If we were to map out her long line of ancestors, a more familiar name to us would be that of her grandfather, Richard Emmerich Vidal, one of the three founding fathers of Sarnia. Here is a picture of Alexander Vidal, her great-grandfather, with his wife Catherine in 1873. Charlotte was born at home on January 11, 1855. Her parents, Alexander Vidal and Catherine Louisa Wright Vidal, had 7 children altogether, 5 boys and 2 girls. Emmerich was the eldest, followed by Charlotte, and then Elizabeth, Alexander, William, James, and Herbert. Before marrying Thomas Nisbet, a Bank of Commerce manager, Charlotte attended Helmut Ladies' College in London, Ontario. The private college for women was devoted to the study of arts and sciences. It was located on Richmond Street and overlooked the Thames River. After graduating from Helmut, Charlotte traveled extensively around Europe and Canada. Charlotte and Thomas were married in Sarnia on July 19, 1876, at the age of 21 and 28 respectively. On the marriage record, Charlotte is deemed spinster, such an amusing title for someone who in modern times would simply be called single. Thomas Nisbet was the founder of the Boys' Brigade in Sarnia, an athletic club, the first of its kind in our city. Here people could engage in exercise, swimming, diving, and various forms of physical activity. In 1877, the couple had their first child, Edith. A second daughter, Kate, was born in 1881, and several years later, their only son, Henry, was born. Aside from being a mother, Charlotte Vidal Nisbet kept quite busy over the years, right up until the time of her death. She was instrumental in the first meetings of the YMCA, and later went on to become the last charter member of the Women's Missionary Society of St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. She was Presbyterian president of the Women's Missionary Society for 2 years, the first president of the local Council of Women, and was also the president of the Women's Historical Society. But what Charlotte was most known for was her writing. Over the years, Charlotte wrote hundreds of stories and articles that focused on Sarnia and the county's past. She wrote about the early pioneer days in what Sarnia was formerly known as the Rapids. She drew much of her information from family papers and experience, as well as first-hand accounts from her own travels. Charlotte left no stone unturned, no topic overlooked. According to Phil Egan, who wrote an article about Charlotte Vidal Nisbet for the Sarnia Journal, her writing was varied and included everything from imperial oil to fashion to local clubs and transportation, and she even touched upon kitchens in the latter half of the 19th century. Her stories included other towns in the county such as Alvinston, Petrolia, and Brigden. On one occasion, Charlotte traveled to Courtright and told her readers about the trip in detail. Without her words, we would lack an immense part of our city and county's past. Her columns, which appeared in the Saturday pages of the Sarnia Canadian Observer for 12 years, continues to be an invaluable source of our early history. Charlotte's husband died in 1915 at the age of 68, leaving their son Henry to support his widowed mother. On May 6, 1916, at the age of 27, Henry enlisted in the military. He spent the next 3 Christmases separated from his family. Determined to provide Henry with some comforts of home, Charlotte sent her son a Christmas parcel which contained items such as dominoes, canned heat, soap, cocoa, coffee, socks. She also enclosed a note which wished him as happy a Christmas as possible, the recipe for which was to try and make some other fellow happy. Such touching words from a mother whose only thoughts must have been for her son's safe return, and Henry did. He survived the Great War and returned home to 273 Christina Street. He then began working at Imperial Oil. Charlotte herself lived until the age of 93. When she died on February 25, 1948, in the home she was born in, we lost an important figure in our city. Her funeral service was at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church, followed by a private gathering at her home. During the church service, the metrical version of the 23rd Psalm, "The Lord is my Shepherd," was sung. Pallbearers included Alex Vidal, Stanley Baby, Roger Johnson, Glenn MacPhail, Harry Luckins, and her son Henry. It was difficult finding information about Charlotte Vidal Nisbet. I wish during her lifetime or thereafter someone thought to write a memoir of our first historian, the way she so passionately wrote about the lives and times of others. Unfortunately, I suppose the one topic she didn't touch upon was her own personal history, and while we might be lacking in stories about Charlotte herself, we are gratefully left with her legacy, a rich history of our city.